battle is very much on for control, ultimately, of Raqqa, the capital, self-styled capital of Islamic State in Syria. The Syrian Democratic Force is a coalition of Syrian, Kurdish and Arab forces backed by the United States and others, attempting to gain control of the city from IS militants. It's been in the hands of Islamic State since 2014. Well, our Foreign Affairs editor, Sam Kiley, is here. And we're talking about wresting control. We're some distance away from that in Raqqa, aren't we, Sam? I mean, Mosul remains contested, of course. Raqqa, we're just beginning to think about unseating ISIS there.
Yeah, I think it's part of the campaign. Of course, Mosul is here. Raqqa is further over there. But let's take a look at the sort of layout of the complexity of what we would call the wider battle space, because it is all about the who's who in this battle. This green striped area is Kurdish control, or combined Kurdish and Arab control. There are 30,000 members of the SDF, dominated by the Kurds, but including Arabs, poised in this area here for an assault on Raqqa. But the problem is, from the Kurd perspective, you've got this light green area over there, near Manbij. That is controlled by Turkey. That's Turkey's buffer zone. You'll recall that the Turks actually invaded Syria to prevent these two striped areas of Kurdish territory from being joined up. And at the same time, whilst the Kurds and the Arabs from the SDF have American and other special forces embedded with them, they're also being attacked. The very same Kurds that are working with the coalition are being attacked by Turkey from the air and with artillery, because, of course, the Turks see the Kurds, particularly this band of territory held by Kurd, as a potential rear base for terrorist attacks inside their own country.
Raqqa's a predominantly Arab town. The feeling is that the people who liberate it, oust IS from it, will need to be they're co-religionists, really.
Yeah, there is an agreement, or it's a public statement, really, from the Kurds that they'll stop somewhere here and allow local forces, locally raised Arab forces, to go into Raqqa. This is deeply tribal territory anyway. There are a lot of tribes in this region that have been brutally massacred by the so-called Islamic State. So there's no shortage, really, of local militia who would want to be engaged in that Raqqa assault. The question is, can they be engaged? And one of the issues will be Al-Bab is still over there, is still in, effectively, Islamic State territory. It's heavily surrounded by a number of other groups. But they need to be able to knock that out as part of this campaign. And the Turks are saying they'll take that on. Now, interestingly, that would put the Turks on the same side in the attack on Raqqa, but in opposite sides in terms of this territory here. A very, very complex battle space with General Townsend, the commander of the general coalition, behind all this, issued a statement today saying that there'll be very close consultation at every stage with all of the interested parties. They're going to be walking on eggshells as they march to Raqqa. And
to what extent, really, will it mean the end of Islamic State? Just because you've ousted them, got rid of them from Raqqa, OK, it's got this symbolic value for them, but ultimately you're struggling to kill an idea as well as soldiers on the ground.
Well, I think the clue's in the name. It's not Al-Qaeda, which is an idea. So-called Islamic State calls itself a state, calls itself the Caliphate. It took over not only Raqqa, but Mosul in Iraq, tore up the colonial boundaries, as it would say, to establish this Caliphate, which is part of the, if you like, the teachings of the final ambition for restoration of Islamic dominance in the region. So without Mosul and Raqqa, yes, it returns to being an Al-Qaeda type idea, but it can no longer have that magnetic appeal to jihadis and lost souls around the world as a caliphate, as a state. It's not a state anymore, it's a mess.
Sam, thanks very much indeed.